I'm recording.
All right, cool. I'm recording
I was
too.
pausing.
Round three. Woo,
third time's the charm. Here we go.
I can't. I need a drink.
Are we in hell? Taylor is having
I think Taylor is cracking right now because we've been having some
point.
technical
We've reached
difficulties.
We're here.
This is the space that we're in. Taylor's neuroemotional breakdown always.
I'm so happy it's being documented. I hope it saves this time.
Okay, round 3. Let's do this thing.
Welcome to Who Fucking Knows, a podcast where 3 friends, a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead, discuss conspiracy theories, murder mysteries, and unknown phenomena that make you say, who fucking knows what happened? My name is Angela.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Lexy.
And welcome to Who Fucking Knows, again.
Welcome back.
Hopefully this is a recording you actually get to hear.
Yes. Come on.
Oh my goodness. But yes, this is our podcast. And what did we... Oh, we had an announcement. That's right. We just did this. I should remember this.
Oh, yeah.
So our announcement this week is with the Electronic Bar Experience. As you know, we've been reviewing their drinks. We don't have a drink to review this week, but we are going to start doing a mystery box giveaway. Angela, what could be in this box?
Well, the box is a mystery box for Halloween, so you can expect a lot of spooky goodies. And since it's with the Electronic Bar Experience, you're going to get a chance to taste their beverages. And there's going to be a little something from us. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of stuff. So you should definitely enter. And how can you enter, Lexy?
Ooh, I'm so glad you asked, Angela. So to enter into winning a mystery box, all you have to do is either comment on our Instagram or DM us privately and make a guess at one of our hints that we've been posting. So pretty much every week, Taylor posts a little hint about our story for the week. So all you got to do is make a guess and you'll be entered to win.
Yeah.
So do it. It's really not that hard.
And the mystery box is pretty much free. All you have to do is pay for shipping and handling, which is what? Just a couple of bucks for an awesome box of just, like, spectacular things. Woo! Yeah. I had more enthusiasm last time. I'm sorry if it feels forced. This is the 3rd time we've done this.
Fucking enter. Just do it.
Fucking do it. Follow us on Instagram. Who FK knows. We got this. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, do I want to tell the story about James and I again? I don't think
should.
So. Oh, okay.
That was funny.
You have to now.
Yeah,
Everyone's going to be like, what's
story.
the story?
So, a couple of nights ago, James and I were sleeping like normal human beings. And when we sleep, we tend to sleep back to back. And we have a giant bed. We have a king-size bed, so there's plenty of room. Dexter's up there too. Well, normal night. Dead asleep Taylor decides to like roll over onto her back and fling my arm, but instead of just flinging and like casually hitting him, I went karate chop 1, 2, 3 to the back of his head. And so naturally, he woke up and was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was asleep until he asked me what the fuck was going on. So I was like, what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean is going on right now? And he was thinking that I was alerting him that maybe someone was breaking into the house or whatever. So he was like on full alert while I like go back to sleep because nothing was happening to me. And he like told me that he was laying there. He's like, I love you. But this is the first time that I was like, man, fuck you, man.
This bitch.
Apparently I'm a little violent in my sleep, and it only happens sometimes. Maybe I was fighting someone in my dream. Who knows? But that's my fun little anecdotal story before we get into our current event.
Yeah, and I have that current event for us from space.com. So this article was published 5 days ago. It's called, or the title of it is Earth Life May Have Traveled to Venus Aboard Sky-Skimming Asteroid. So prior to this article being published, like a week prior to it, they discovered some gas on Venus that, as far as we know, only comes from life. So people are like, does Venus have life on it? Because that's the only way we know how this gas comes about. And the article reads, if there is indeed life on Venus, it may have come from Earth, aboard an asteroid that scooped up microbes high in our skies, a new study suggests. Last week, researchers announced the detection of the potential biosignature gas, phosphine, in Venus's atmosphere at an altitude where temperatures and pressures are similar to those at sea level here on Earth. So yeah, the gas was found like in the clouds and up in the atmosphere, because otherwise Venus is just super freaking hot and acidic on its surface. So yeah, it says the exotic chemical reactions have nothing to do with life, maybe generating the phosphine, but the gas can also be churned by microbes hovering in Venus's sulfuric acid clouds. So there may or may not be little microbes floating about on Venus, but not on it in its atmosphere. So who knows?
Somewhere nearby.
Above Venus. Yeah, not here on Earth. There's maybe life somewhere else, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah,
if you ask
it is
me.
very exciting.
Yeah.
That's how something starts. Right on. Well, before I get into my story, I just want to direct your guys' attention to our Patreon, which is who_Ken knows, in case you want to leave us a tip, or if you want to force one of us to maybe take a shot or choose our story, you could do so by the different tiers that we have available that you can donate at, and we love it. And my computer keeps crashing, so maybe I'll go to a new computer so that we don't have these mental breakdowns like we are today. Who knows? But yes, that would be cool if you did that. Anyway, let's get into my gruesome murder story. Woo!
Yay!
So the title of my notes I put as The Dexter Wannabe Serial Killer. And Dexter, I have a dog named Dexter. No, he's not a serial killer. Sorry.
As far as you know. The real Dexter is pretty sneaky about it.
He just kills possums occasionally.
Hey, I don't think he ever killed the possum. He just catches them.
Tortures them.
Okay, yeah, maybe he's a horrible person.
No.
But this guy, Mark Twitchell, which I'll get into, was pretty obsessed with Dexter the Show, which was a popular show in the early 2000s. That's what I named my dog after as well. Dexter had a kill room full of plastic wrap and everything of that nature, and he killed bad guys that were essentially not being punished by the law because they found the loopholes and stuff of that nature. So Dexter had like a good moral route to it. This guy, Mark Twitchell, was just like, I want to be a serial killer. Stab, stab. So let's get into it. So he was born in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, 1979. Had a reasonable childhood, nothing too crazy to really report since there wasn't really anything out there. I was like, man, maybe you had a normal life and you just are fucking twisted. His big dream was to become a producer or director. Sorry, Britton, I don't know the difference between the two. I do, but I'm not going to go into it. Yeah, Britton's my sister.
She's like,
here's a picture of the little bastard. He wanted to do blockbuster films one day. Good for you, bitch. And he, along with being a big fan of Star Wars, he was also a big fan of, and along with being a big fan of Dexter, he was a big fan of Star Wars, so much so that he did a fan-made movie called Star Wars Secrets of the Rebellion in 2007. It was a full-length fan film prequel set a few days prior to the original film. So that's kind of a fun fact. Oh, also the guy who played Boba Fett, Jeremy Bulloch, he made a guest appearance into the film as well. So this made our boy Twitchell's dreams come true, essentially, since he had like a major role character stop by and be in it. His film never was released, just a fun fact there. And in September of 2008, he shot a short horror film entitled House of Cards at a garage he was renting in the south end of Edmonton. But, you know, he did a little bit more than just film a horror story. He created one. So Mark had a side hobby. He liked to pretend to be a woman on a dating app known as plentyoffish.com. And here's its little logo here. Have either of you heard of this one? Because I've heard of many dating apps, but never this one.
I'm not.
not really, no.
Yeah. Like, that's a very obscure dating
It was
app.
probably one of the first, like, it was a website, right? It wasn't really an app. Or was it an app?
I think
a website.
Yeah, I
like
think it was a website.
Match.com kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Fun fact, I met James on Tinder. Or no, not Tinder. What was it? Bumble. So luckily he didn't turn out to be a murderer. That I had found out. Exactly. So Mark was on plentyoffish.com, and by the way, he was married and had a kid at this point. And not only that, he was pretending to be a woman on plentyoffish.com to lure in other men. He pretended to be named Sheena, who had caught the attention of Johnny Altlinger. And here is a picture of Johnny, sweet little Johnny. He was a 38-year-old man who worked as an oil field equipment manufacturer and just wanted to find love, like all of us. So, I had way more enthusiasm the first time around. I'm sorry, friends. I'm a little drained today.
Just like all of us. Finding love. Whatever.
So, Mark/Sheena and Johnny set up a, quote, date to meet at Sheena's house on October 10th, 2008. Mark sent Johnny an email with weird and very specific instructions. And so it started off with like generic highway instructions, which I won't bore you with, but it went with take a right on 40 Avenue, and after a block or two, take the very first right into the alley. It's marked by a yellow crosswalk sign to pay attention. Then go left and pull in to the only driveway on your left that isn't paved. LOL. Seriously, who ever heard of a driveway that looks like the Amazon? Whatever. It won't swallow your car, I promise. Like I said, the garage door will be open for you just a touch. Don't worry about neighbors thinking you're a burglar. Everyone knows there's nothing valuable in there. Except my car, of course. Yeah, first visible back door coming out of the garage, knock away. There's certainly no other driveways along our alley like this one, and the half-open car door is a... garage door, excuse me. Half-open garage door is a dead giveaway. LOL. So...
unsettling. I don't like it.
Yeah, his messages are weird.
He has like a weird tone. Like he's definitely pretending to be a woman as well, and I feel like
He's trying way too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the way he writes it out makes me feel like he has this certain image of women. Like it's stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
like, what the fuck?
LOL.
What? So our boy Johnny, he was a little wary in the fact that he did tell his friends before heading out that he was going to go meet this woman, Sheena, and actually forwarded the email with the instructions to two of his friends. And then he kind of just disappeared. Johnny's friends were a little like, wait, what happened to Johnny? And then they got an email. And the email said... Hey there, I've met an extraordinary woman named Jen who has offered to take me on a nice long tropical vacation. We'll be staying in her winter home in Costa Rica. Phone number to follow soon. I won't be back in town until December 10th, but I will be checking my email periodically. See you around the holidays, Johnny.
That's so weird considering he like changed the name and everything. Like wasn't like, oh, Sheena, like at least keep it consistent, man.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to fool here?
Yeah.
So, following his disappearance, Johnny's friends obviously became concerned, and when they got this email, they decided, as good friends would, to break into Johnny's apartment. And I really hope that if I were to just disappear off the face of the earth, you two would break into my apartment as well.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Bust the windows.
So not only were Johnny's friends notified that he wasn't coming back for a certain period of time, but he also supposedly emailed his boss saying that, hey, like, I quit, and they were like, okay, where should I send the final check? And they never heard a response to that. So all of this is what led the Edmonton police service team to look into it and think it might be a homicide or at least a suspicious, disappearance. And so they opened the investigation. So those friends, they gave the police the information of where Johnny had left. And so the police followed the instructions and sent from quote-unquote Sheena, which led them to the garage that Twitchell was renting. Here's a picture of that garage here. Just a normal kind of garage. It has 2 doors on it, but there's like a lot of crap in front of it, and it is not paved like the email said. So that's good there.
It looks like it's from the Amazon.
Oh my god. So essentially their first interaction, I think Johnny just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Twitchell, not Johnny. I think Twitchell was just like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. There wasn't much to say about that, but then they realized that Twitchell had Johnny's car, and so they... once they figured that out, they talked to him again, and Johnny was all like, oh, that car, well, Twitchell. Sorry, let's do this right. So Twitchell was found to have Johnny's car, and the police went to talk to Twitchell again, and Twitchell was like, oh, that car. Well, Johnny, I met him right before he went to Costa Rica, and he wanted to sell his car, and I was like, well, I only have $40. Is that enough? And Johnny was like, yeah. Take my car for $40. And Twitch was like, sweet, I got a car for $40. Meanwhile, like, this car is a newer version of a car. It's nice. It's not something that you would pay $40 for. So police thought that was fishy and decided to take him in for questioning. And there's about a 2-hour-long video on YouTube of that interrogation if you want to take a look at it. I don't have the time for it, but if you do, it's a little interesting. So... during the second police interview, Twitchell told them that story about the car, which I just said. So after talking to him and everything like that, or while they were talking to him and other policemen were doing their jobs, police looked at Twitchell's car, which the license plate read DRK Jedi, meaning Dark Jedi, which is a fun. So he was a big fan of Star Wars. And inside that trunk... can anyone guess what they may have found?
A body?
Johnny?
No, not a body. But a lot of indications that something amiss had happened, like some
weapons,
blood splatters, some a bloody knife, and some rope, and let's see what else was in there. And also a laptop. And then inside, like, the body of the car, there was a giant barrel. Giant green, like, waste disposal, hazardous waste disposal barrel just in the back of his car. No big deal. I always like to drive around with a barrel in my car. I don't know about you. But there was no body to be found. There's just a lot of evidence kind of pointing to the fact that...
yeah, no, that's
nobody.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. So no body found yet, and so they decided to go into the laptop that they found in the trunk, which here is a picture. There's some pictures of Spider-Man on there, and amongst the deleted files, they came across a document titled SK Confessions, and that SK is a acronym or short term for serial killer confessions. And the document started with, quote, "The story is based on true events. The names and events were altered slightly to protect the guilty. This is the story of my progression into becoming a serial killer. Dun, 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 dun."
I think it's funny that, like, he so preemptively was like, here, I'm gonna become a serial killer and I'm gonna write a whole story about it. Like, write it as it goes,
Well, it kind of makes sense.
Motherfucker.
Not only the cockiness, but he was also a writer, so...
that's true.
That's a little side notion. Britain, if you're going to murder someone, don't write about it. Just
until you're old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotta hear your story when you pass. But, yeah.
So, with all this evidence in his car, along with the SK confessions, which were 40-plus pages of just pure terror, which we'll get into a little bit later, police charged Twitchell with first-degree murder on October 31st, 2008. And let's go look into this garage that Twitchell was renting and supposedly only filming a horror movie. Well, turns out that Twitchell was like a huge fan of Dexter because this was what he wanted his kill room to be. And the windows and the doors and everything were like taped up. It wasn't as intensive as Dexter's kill rooms were, with like plastic from wall to wall, corner to corner, and everything of that nature, but it was definitely a good like try, I guess, if you want to say that. And so they were able to kind of piece together what had happened based off of the different evidence that I'll go over, and then also the SK confessions literally walk you through what he was thinking and what he was doing. So what they think had happened is Johnny entered the garage, was hit over the head with a pipe, because there was a bloody pipe that was found by Twitchell, and then stabbed to death, which there were huge pools of blood on the floor when they did the UV lights. And then on the table in the garage, he put the body, Johnny's body up on there, and then dismembered him. Then Twitchell attempted to burn Johnny's body in the barrel that was found in the car. Yeah, not a good story. Not a good
that
end.
Sounds very, very
Johnny
sloppy.
just wanted to find love, but God, Johnny.
Yeah, I feel like that, I don't know, Twitchell's horrible, but at the same time, I feel like Johnny should have had better judgment.
Come
that was a
on,
very
Johnny.
sketchy.
Was it
approach.
so? Do you know if there
was?
was like a house attached to the garage? Like, was someone living in the house, or was it just like a garage, like a storage unit?
I think it was like a garage. I think it was a detached garage with a house that had enough space that like they rented out just a
And
garage.
she was like, "Come to my garage and we can hang out.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we go grab a beer? Like,
Exactly.
I have to come to your fucking sketchy ass garage."
You always meet in public areas. When I met James for the first time, we met at Boomers and went mini golfing. So I knew he couldn't kill me there. Really successfully.
Successfully.
So it took nearly 2 years for police to find Johnny's body, and Johnny's body was found dismembered in a sewer about a half block out of the radius that the police were looking in. That included the garage, Twitchell's parents' house, and Twitchell's house, because ultimately what they figured out was that he had taken the barrel full of body parts and taken it to his parents' house, tried to burn the body, and then realized that hadn't worked out, and then decided to dispose of them in the sewer. They were only able to locate the body because Twitchell was like, oh yeah, it's over here, after the whole trial and everything like that, and he was found guilty. So at least Johnny's family and friends get a little bit of closure, but it's definitely not the best case scenario.
No.
So fucked up.
Yeah, really fucked up. So when all of this was in the headlines, and what the bare minimum that was released was like, he pretended to be a woman on Plenty of Fish and attacked people in the garage and killed this individual, right? Well, Giles Tetalot? I don't know how to say his last name, so we're just gonna go with Giles. He came forward and he had a lot to say. He said that he had also been chatting with a woman on plentyoffish.com and was giving similar, if not the same, instructions to the garage. And when he arrived, he entered the garage through the minor opening on the bottom, like the instructions stated. So he like stooped under the garage door and walked in. And once he was inside, he was attacked by someone wearing a hockey mask, which couldn't get more Canadian if you even tried. And he was attacked with a baseball bat. Which was a downgrade from the pipe that Johnny was found with. So maybe this is why Giles was able to get away, is because it was a baseball bat instead of a pipe. So he put up a fight and was able to escape with his life. He claimed he didn't go to the police because he was embarrassed of the situation, which I can kind of understand, but also if you had gone to the police, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, why didn't he?
That's like, yeah, that's really fucking sketchy.
And how the police kind of figured out, other than like the intimate details that he had when telling the story to them, but also
I'm sorry, the National Guard is here. I have to answer the door else I get arrested. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's not get Lexy arrested.
Cueing elevator music.
Yeah, sorry about that, y'all.
Don't
I'm not
be.
trying to get arrested out here in quarantine.
You don't want to go to the Kauai prison?
No, and Quiet Police Department posts your mugshot on their Instagram for everyone that's been arrested. I'm like, how embarrassing.
That would be
God.
amazing.
Just like,
I think that's a blonde person we went to high school with, yeah?
Yeah.
One of five.
What a vibe.
So, let's see where I would say. Okay, so how police knew that Giles wasn't just like bullshitting his story is one, because of the intimate details that he had that weren't released to the public, and two, you know, the SK confessions that I mentioned earlier. There was a segment in there that mentioned about the one that got away and how that was essentially a learning experience so that he could upgrade his tactics so that he could be successful.
Wow. So I guess what this teaches us is if some crazy shit goes down and we survive it, we should still call the cops and be like, hey, this crazy person just tried to do something crazy to me, and I don't know who they're going to target next, you know, because you could be saving someone's life.
Exactly. Don't ever be too afraid to go to the police unless you have good reason to, like you're a murderer. So, Giles stepped up and was a key witness in the trial. And let's go into those confessions, the SK confessions. So, like I said, it was over 40 pages, somewhere between 40 and 50 pages of just pure horror. And, excuse me, drinking beer, Taylor burps. So, here's a couple excerpts of what was said. I didn't read the whole thing of it because I was at work and I didn't want to get, like, pinged for looking up really horribly twisted things during like, working hours. Lexy, Angela will put a link down below if you want to spend the time to read it. It's really horrible. Here it is. So after cutting off the head of his victim, quote, I grabbed his jaw with my gloved hand and moved it while making a funny voice to make it look like it was talking, and chuckled to myself at the total silliness of it all. So he was using Johnny's head as a puppet. Yeah.
Oh.
And it went into deep description of how he lured a character that was pretty similar to Johnny and named him Jim in the series of documents as a cold-blooded attack with a pipe, followed by graphic details of this dismemberment and everything of that nature, and how he just essentially didn't feel anything. He also talked about cutting open the torso of the victim and watching the organs slowly collapse. Quote, if I had a sense of smell, this might be disgusting for me, but I only find it fascinating.
What a sicko.
And the author talked about killing. Quote, most people fantasize and it only ever stays a fantasy. They don't have the disposition or the stomach to go all the way with their dark urges, but I do. That's the last quote I'll have because that...
What a, like, not dumbass, like a cocky motherfucker to be like, oh, most people can't go through with it. Everyone has these dark dispositions. But it's like,
everybody wants to kill someone, but I'm the only one who does it.
Yeah, what the hell? He's like, I have no balls. You have no balls, you fucking dick.
Yeah, if you had balls, you wouldn't have to, like, ambush someone, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly, and lure them there on false pretenses.
Like, yeah.
Well, so he was obviously convicted, and he had a trial, and with Giles as a key witness, and also the SK confessions, he was committed, and he denied everything for quite some time until he was charged with... Oh, okay, so so he denied everything for a while, and then when he realized that the police were like, no, you fucking did it, there's no loophole around it, he was like, well, it was all self-defense. Johnny came after me with the pipe, and so I used the pipe and I killed him. But, like, why would you fucking do all that shit to the body? Why would you fucking write about it? Why would you do this? Like,
premeditated as fuck.
Like, no. So Twitchell was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years on April 12th, 2011, and that's where he is still in jail right now. He had an interview where he got to say, hey, I got a TV in my cell and I got to watch the rest of Dexter, and he was also disappointed with the ending of Dexter, which pisses me off because he's not allowed to have an opinion about anything.
He has a TV in his cell?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He killed someone.
Yeah. Welcome to Canada. Well, welcome to just poor everything. But yeah. I don't know if things work. I don't know. Don't get mad at me.
They're so goddamn nice. They give their prisoners TV.
But yeah, that's my fucking story this week. But a little tidbit before I sign off on this story is that he also had another series of documents that essentially was a self-communicative talking to himself of walking through how he thinks that he is a psychopath, and kind of the self-talk that you would have with yourself, like written out, which was really fascinating, especially since I'm all about that mumbo jumbo craziness. There will also be a link below where you can read all of that stuff, because I did take the time to do that, and it's fucked up. So much so that, like, yes, the serial killer confessions was really fucked up, but they needed it as evidence, while this other series of documents, they're like, this is too fucked up and not as needed to convict him, so we're just not going to let the jury know about it. So, yeah.
Wow. That reminds me of the inner dialogue of Dexter, the series where he's like narrating everything. It's so weird how like a show can influence a psychopath so much.
Or inspire, if anything.
Yeah.
There's actually an interview with the actor who plays Dexter. I forget what his name is off the top of my head, but where the interviewer was like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And the guy was just like, it's fucking bullshit. Like, this is a show. This is Hollywood. It's all made up. He wanted to be part of this Hollywood scene. He should know that this is all bullshit and, like, just, like, a storyline, and shouldn't apply it to your real life. And I don't think I had any real influence over anything of this nature. And bottom line, he was pissed off about it. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I hope that guy saw that interview. Just
yeah, and he's like, no, Dexter isn't proud of me.
Yeah, perfect. But that's my story.
Cool. Well, before I jump into my story, I'd like to remind anyone who is listening via Apple Podcasts, or even if you're listening on Spotify, go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a honest review. Screenshot it before you click submit, and then email that screenshot along with your address to whofkenknows@gmail.com, and we will send you a free sticker. Sorry, there's something in my throat.
It's all good.
I said we will send you a free sticker if you send us that screenshot of a review, and that would really help us out, because the more reviews we have via Apple Podcasts, the higher our ranking will be, and the more will show up for people. So if you want to help us out and you want to get a free sticker in the process, then do that for us.
Oh.
And so now I'm going to just jump into my story. So on May 15th, 2015, a brief signal radio signal at 11 gigahertz was observed in the direction of HD 164595 by a team led by N.N. Versov, involving Claudio Macone at the Raton 600 Radio Observatory. Sorry, I have like
no idea what any of that means.
Yeah, I just got like a random
foreign
call.
language.
It pretty much is. This is like a side note. I've been getting like 20 something fucking calls a day from like insurance people, but that's because like over the weekend I tried to apply for health insurance because I was freaking out because I was like, do I have appendicitis? And my health insurance my health insurance doesn't kick in until like November 22nd of like, so I was like freaking out, and I was like trying to apply to stuff. Now I'm just fucking facing the consequences of getting so many random fucking numbers calling me like 20 times a day.
Well, I just get numbers from spam, and it used to be just like the numbers showing up, but now it says spam risk, and
I know, I appreciate that.
It just pisses
They're
me
always
off.
robots.
Yeah, like during this so far, I've gotten 2 calls.
Oh wow.
God.
Yeah.
In 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, So the signal may have been caused by terrestrial radio frequency interference or gravitational lensing from a more distant source. It was observed only once for 2 seconds by a single team at a single telescope, giving it a Rio scale score of 1. Discussion in the media from August 29, 2016 onwards featured speculation that the signal could be caused by an isotropic beacon from a Type 2 civilization. So pretty much a telescope radio team picked up on a weird signal that lasted for 2 seconds that they just couldn't explain. And there is speculation that it might be kind of an advanced civilization. And when it says a type 2 civilization, I'm talking about the Kardashev.
The Kardashian.
Yeah. Kardashian. Yeah, Kardashian Scale. And it's a method of measuring civilization's level of technological advancement based on the amount of energy they're able to use. So this measure was proposed by the Soviet astronomer Nikola Kardashev.
Words are hard.
I freaking foreign names are hard, man. So it was created in 1964. So it has 3 designated Wow, yeah, words are just hard. It has.
I need a shirt with that on it.
Yeah,
Words are hard.
So it has 3 designated categories. So type 1, which by the way, Earth isn't even a type 1 civilization yet. So
Pathetic.
yeah. So type 1 have a technological level of a civilization that's close to a level presently attained on Earth, but like we're close, but we're not there yet. So it's usually defined as one who can harness all the energy that falls on the planet from its parent star. So it would be pretty much like if everything was solar powered and we were really just all the radiation or all the sun power that lands on Earth, we could harness it, but we can't do that. So
it's interesting. It's interesting that we're the ones who made these classes, and we put the standard so high that we're not even part of the class.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it's like I think it's kind of, it shows that the scientist was very humble. He was very humbling of humanity rather than being like, yeah, we're a type 5.
Look what we've done.
Or also, look where we should fucking be, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That too.
So, type 2 civilization, which is a civilization that they kind of speculate the radio signal was from, is a civilization capable of harnessing the energy radiated by its own star. For example, the stage of successful construction of a Dyson sphere. And I've mentioned this before in the past for another story what a Dyson sphere is, but essentially what that is something that kind of goes around the star or like around the sun. And it would be this giant sphere that's pretty much filled with little solar panels and harnesses all the energy. So that's what's considered a type 2 civilization. A type 3 civilization is a civilization that possesses the energy at a scale of its own galaxy. So it's like if we were able to put a Dyson sphere on every single freaking star in the Milky Way. Kardashev believed that a type 4 civilization was impossible, so he did not go past type 3. However, new types 0, 4, 5, and 6 have been proposed. So the senior astronomer of SETI Institute, Seth Shostak, stated that confirmation by another telescope was required in order to confirm that the radio signal was, in fact, from another civilization. But unfortunately, only one freaking telescope and one radio observatory witnessed the signal. So, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So, astronomer Nicholas Sunsvets of Texas A&M University stated that the signal is in a military frequency band and that it could have been a satellite downlink, implying that some such systems may be kept secret and therefore would be unknown to SETI scientists. So, SETI and METI, I don't know what METI is. I'm not sure.
We'll learn about that some other time.
Yeah. SETI and METI studies followed with the Alien Telescope Array and the Boquet Optical SETI Observatory. Also, scientists at Berkeley SETI Research Center and the University of California, Berkeley observed HD 164595 using the Green Bank Telescope as part of the Breakthrough Listen program. No signal was detected at the position and frequency of the transient reported by the Renton group. So, by the way, HD 164595 is a star that actually has planets orbiting it, and one of the planets, it has potential to be like Earth-like. So that's why people are like, is it them? Like that, you know?
Ooh.
So, yeah, so the Special Astrophysical Observatory of the Russian Academy of Science has since released an official statement that the signal is most probably of terrestrial origin. So that means they think it's like the military just doing secret shit and we're not into it, you know?
It's an alien.
Yeah.
Lost my alien.
So this happened in 2015, and it kind of reminded me of something else that happened in 1977 that is actually a more famous instance of this, and it's called the wow signal. So the wow signal was a strong narrowband radio signal received on August 15th, 1977 by Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope in the United States, then used to support the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. I love that there are organizations and are things going on that are like, we got to figure this out, man.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah. So the signal appeared to come from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius and bore the expected hallmarks of extraterrestrial origin. Astronomer Jerry R. Ehman discovered the anomaly a few days later while reviewing the recorded data. He was so impressed by the result that he circled the reading on the computer printout, which was 6EQUJ5, and wrote the comment "wow" with an exclamation point on its side, leading to the event's widely used name. I think that's funny. I'll pop up a picture of like, wow. So the entire signal sequence lasted for a full 72-second window, during which Big Ear was able to observe it, but has not been detected since, despite several subsequent attempts by Edmund and others. Many hypotheses have been advanced on the origin of emission, including natural and human main sources, but none of them adequately explain the signal. So although the WOW signal had no detectable modulation, a technique used to transmit information over radio waves, it remains the strongest candidate for an alien radio transmission ever detected. So this, hearing about like all the radio signals and everything, I kind of thought of this thing called FRBs, which are fast radio bursts. And in June 2020, astronomers announced that they detected mysterious fast radio bursts coming from a dwarf galaxy 3 billion light years away. So aliens possibly, but they think it might have to do with like neutrino stars and stuff. Okay. So the fast radio burst appears to be transmitting signals that reach Earth in a repeating 157-day pattern. So that was discovered in June 2020, like a repeating pattern of radio bursts. And in February, which I think I talked about this one, was they discovered fast radio bursts that were occurring every 16 days. So, like I said, they're little bursts of radio waves in space, but they last only just a millisecond, and some have been traced to their home galaxies, but astronomers have yet to figure out what caused them. An international team led by the University at Manchester at the Jordell Bank Observatory was able to track emissions from FRB 121102, which has been studied for years. Their study of the FRB was published in a journal, and they recently detected that FRB sends out bursts during another FRB that sends out a burst during a 90-day window, followed by 6 to 7 days of silence in a loop that's repeated over and over again. So pretty much there's like, they don't know what's going on, and they think it could be related to a neutrino star or a black hole or a massive star. They also think that the pattern might be periodical wobbles in the rotational axis of a highly magnetized neutrino star. So it's like, we don't know if there's aliens trying to send radio signals or if there's just like some crazy activity going on, but I love that there's something that we can't explain, but we're witnessing. So that's always just exciting.
Maybe,
and
maybe it's ghosts in space. Let's go that route.
Ghosts, space, aliens. Yes.
We all become aliens when we die. That's, you know what? I can live with that.
I can live with that too. We TM it.
That's my story. Yeah.
Excellent.
Love it. Love it.
That was a good fucking story. I love any excuse to say that there's aliens, because the quote that you have from Arthur C. What is it? Whatever? Clarke, yeah.
Yeah.
About if there is something or if there isn't, like, both are equally terrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like
which one's...
Yeah, it's like there's only two possibilities in this universe. Either we're completely alone or we're not.
We're not alone.
And it's like both is
Each are
equally what it
terrible.
is. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, if we were completely alone, that is freaking scary because we're so small. It's
I
so
know.
big.
compared to so much.
Yeah,
What is
it's
like
what?
what do you guys think? You should definitely leave comments below on our YouTube page or even our Spotify, whatever. Email us what you think. DM us on
Yes.
Instagram. But we would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Especially if you have any like crazy theories, like ghost aliens, you know?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
We love that shit. Ladies, are you interested in hearing a scary story?
No.
I
I'm
am.
kidding.
The first time.
It's like,
Okay,
let's just
fine,
end
then this
this
was fun.
right here. I'm just kidding.
This is fun. I quit. No, but that's what I have in store for you today is a scary story. Thursday is October 1st and a full moon, so extra freaking spooky. We are in full swing of spooky season, in my opinion.
Did you say Halloween's on a Thursday?
No.
No, October 1st. Did I say Halloween?
Oh, sorry. I think you said October and my brain just said Halloween.
I get it.
Did you know that there's going to be 2 full moons this month?
In October, yes, which makes it extra spooky. And the second one is on Halloween. Woo! So exciting. I'm gonna freaking, that's when my powers are coming in, I think. It's gonna be a good month.
Tapping in.
Harnessing the power of the moon. Yeah, anyways. So this is a story from the Reddit thread called No Sleep. I don't remember the name of the author. I'm fucking sorry because this is a good story and the author should be recognized. But maybe I'll send it to Taylor and she can add it to the Insta post. But it's a little spooky story and I'm just gonna get right into it. So here we go. Every night, no matter the weather, something walks down our street whistling softly. You can only hear it if you're in the living room or the kitchen when they walk by, and it always starts at exactly 3:03. The sound starts faint somewhere near the beginning of the lane near Carson Place. We're towards the middle of the street, so the whistling moves past us before fading away in the direction of the cul-de-sac. When I was younger, my sister and I would sneak into the kitchen some nights to listen. Mom and Dad didn't like that, and we'd catch hell if they found out we were there, but they never were too hard on us since we always stuck to the one big rule. Don't try to look at whatever was whistling. My neighborhood is a funny place. I've lived here ever since I was 6, and I love it. The houses are small and well kept, good-sized yards, plenty of places to roam. There are a lot of other kids my age here. I turned 13 back in October. We all grew up together and would always play foursquare in the cul-de-sac or roam around from back porch to back porch in the summer. It was a good place to grow up. I'm old enough to see it. And there's only 2 strange things here, the night whistling and the good luck. The whistling never bothered me much. Like I said, I couldn't even hear it from my bedroom. But Mom and Dad don't like talking about it, so I've stopped asking questions. My dad is a strong guy, tall and calm. He has an accent since he moved to the U.S. as a kid. His family, my grandparents, they're from the islands. That's what they call it. My dad, the only time he isn't so calm is if the whistler comes up. He talks a little quicker then, eyes move faster, and he tells us not to think about it so much and to always remember the one rule, the big rule. Don't try to look outside when the whistler goes past.
That would
Not
make
that we
me
can-
want to look so fucking bad.
Right? Especially as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, I followed rules as a kid. I was a pretty decent kid, but I would want to look.
Yeah.
I know.
Like that's so much mystery to it.
Mm-hmm. Not that we could look even if we wanted. See, there are shutters on the inside of every window, thick pieces of heavy canvas that pull down from the top and latch at the bottom of the window frame. Each latch even has a small lock, about the size of what you'd find on a diary. My dad locks those shutters every night before we go to bed and keeps the key in his room. My mom, I don't know what she thinks about the whistling. I've seen her out in the living room before at 3:03 when the sound starts. I could see her if I cracked my door open just an inch to peek. She's not out there often, at least I haven't caught her much, but once or twice a month I think she sits out there on our big red couch just listening. The Whistler has the same tune every night. It's cheerful. I can't fucking whistle that well. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for the demonstration, Lexy.
Insert cheerful whistle noise here. Okay. Sorry.
I'm not.
Remember how I said there are two odd things about where I live? Well, besides our night whistler, everyone in my neighborhood is really lucky. It's hard to explain, and Dad doesn't like talking about this part much either. But good things just seem to happen to people around here a lot. Usually it's small things, winning a radio contest or getting an unexpected promotion at work. The weather is good, and there's no crime, and everybody's garden blooms bright in the fall. A million little blessings, I've heard my mom say about living here. But the main reason why we stay here, why we moved here in the first place, is my sister Nola. She was born very sick, something with her lungs. We couldn't even bring her home when she was born, only visit her in the hospital. She was so small, I remember, small even compared to other babies. A machine had to breathe for her. We moved into our house here to be closer to the hospital. As soon as we moved here, Nola started getting better. The doctors couldn't figure it out. They chalked it up to whatever they were doing, but we all could tell that they were confused. But my parents knew, even I knew, Nola getting better was just another one of the million little blessings we got for living in our neighborhood.
Which is interesting to think when you're first moving there and this is the big thing that happens. Of course, over time that you would think that, but I don't know.
Right?
I feel like the jump, I would be suspicious.
I know. So that's why we stayed, even after we found out that for every small miracle that happens here every day, now and then, some bad things happen. But they only happen if you look at the Whistler. See, our neighborhood has a welcoming committee. They show up with macaroni casserole and a gift basket and a manila folder whenever someone new moves in. They're very friendly. 4 people showed up when we moved in 7 years ago. The committee made small talk, gave me a Snickers bar, and took turns holding Nola. It was her first week out of the hospital, so they were extra careful. Then the committee asked to speak to my parents in private, so I was sent to my room, where I still managed to hear nearly every word. The welcoming committee told my parents about how nice the neighborhood was, really exceptionally hard to explain kind of nice. And then they told my parents about the even harder to explain whistling that happened every morning at 3:03 and ended at the tick of 3:05. The group, our new neighbors, warned my parents that the whistling was quiet, would never harm or hurt us, as long as we didn't look for what was making that sound.
Okay.
This part, I know, it's fucking creepy. This part they stressed, and I pushed my ear into the door, straining to hear them. People who went looking for the Whistler had their luck change, sometimes tragically. A black cloud would hang over anyone that looked.
Did I see the Whistler?
Oh my god, did you look? That is weird that you mentioned that earlier. No. Oh god. Anything that could go wrong would. Is that where our podcast? No, we're doing so well. We're doing so well. Is that what? This is our 3rd time recording this episode. Okay.
Deep breaths.
Going strong. Anything that could go wrong would. The manila envelope the committee brought over contained newspaper clippings, stories about car crashes or ruined lives, freak accidents. Not everyone dies, I heard the head of the committee tell my dad, but the life goes out of them. Even if they live, there's no light in them ever again, no presence. My mom, I could tell she wasn't taking it seriously. She kept asking if this was some sort of prank they play on new neighbors. At one point, my mom got very angry, accused the committee of trying to scare us out of our new home, asked them if they were racist on account of my dad being from the islands. My dad calmed her down and told her he could tell our new neighbors were sincere and they were just trying to help us. He explained that he grew up hearing these kinds of stories from his mom, and he knew there were just strange things that walked among us. Some of those strange things were good, some were bad, but most were just different. After the committee left, Dad went out to the hardware store, bought canvas blinds, the latches, the locks, and installed them on every window in the house after dinner. The first night in our new house, I crept out of my room at 3 a.m., only to find my dad awake in the living room, holding my baby sister. My dad held up his finger in a shh motion, but patted on the couch next to him. I sat and we waited. At exactly 3:03, we heard the whistling.
It's supposed to be a scary story, Lexy.
I know, I'm sorry. It's a cheerful whistle, it's creepy. It came and it went just like our neighbors said. The whistling returns each night and we never look. We enjoy our million little blessings every day. Nola breathes on her own and she's grown into a strong, clever girl. My dad even joined the welcoming committee. We don't get new neighbors often. Why would anyone want to leave? But when a new family moves in, my dad and the committee bring them macaroni casserole, a gift basket, and the manila folder. I can always tell by the look on my dad's face when he comes back if the family took the committee seriously or if we'd be getting new neighbors again very soon. Not long ago, a family moved in directly next to us. The previous owner, Miss Maddie, passed away at age 105. She lived a good, long life. Our new neighbors seemed like they'd fit in just fine. They believed the welcoming committee took my dad's advice about locking the shutters since they had young children of their own. When whatever newspaper clippings were in that manila envelope, whatever evidence, my dad never let us see, but I imagine it must be awful, and it convinced our neighbors to follow the rules. One night, when our new neighbors had to leave town, they sent their son Holden to stay with us. He was 12, a year under me in school. I didn't know him well before that night, but as soon as his parents dropped him off at dinner, I could tell it was going to be a bad time.
I got them bad vibes.
Yeah. Do you know who is always out there whistling every night? That was my Holden voice. Holden asked the moments the adults left the room. The three of us were sitting in the den, some Disney movie playing in the background. My sister and I exchanged a glance. I think it's that weirdo that lives in the big yellow house on the corner, Holden said. Mr. Tolles? My sister asked. No way, he's really nice. Holden shrugged. Must be a psycho killer then. We don't talk about it, I repeated. Let's go in my room and play Nintendo. We spent the next few hours playing games, eating popcorn, and watching movies. A typical sleepover, but I could see Holden was getting antsy. After my parents had wished us goodnight, locked the blinds, and gone to bed, Holden stood up from his beanbag and walked over to where Nola and I were sitting on my bed. Have you ever even tried looking? He asked. It's nearly time. Like most sleepovers, we'd conveniently ignored any suggestion of a bedtime. I was shocked to see he was right. It was almost 3 a.m. I sighed. We don't. See? I can't even try to look because my dad locks the blinds every night and hides the key, Holden continued, ignoring me. So does our dad, said Nola. No, replied Holden. No, he doesn't. You saw him do it, I said, a little sharper than I meant to sound. Holden grinned. Your dad locks the blinds, sure, but he doesn't hide the key. He keeps it right on his normal keychain. So, I asked, worried I'd already knew what he was going to say next. Because I had noticed that my dad didn't bother hiding the key anymore all of these years because he knew my sister and I took it seriously. So, after your dad locked up, but before your parents went to bed, I went to the bathroom. And on my way, I may have peeked into their room and I may have seen your dad's keychain on his nightstand. And I maybe went and borrowed the key to the blinds.
Motherfucker.
Fucking little shit. I know. Fucking Holden.
I want to see.
Yeah. Oh, he gonna forget it. Okay. You're lying, I said. Holden shrugged. You can check if you want. Just open your parents' door and look. You'll see his keychain right there on the nightstand. Stay here, I told both of them. Don't move a muscle. I hurried over to my parents' room but hesitated at the door. If Holden wasn't lying, my dad would be angry, beyond angry. I was scared thinking about it, but more scared of an open window and the whistler right outside. I opened the door barely an inch and looked in, but it was too dark to see. Taking a deep breath, I walked into their room. 2 steps into the dark, I froze. The whistling started, and I could hear it clearly from my parents' room. I never realized, but they must have heard the sound every night since we moved into the house. They never told us. I don't think I could have slept through it. I stood there, listening to the whistling come closer, unsure whether I should turn on a light or call out for my dad. Soft sounds from the living room brought me back to reality. "Nola!" I yelled, running out of my parents' room. Holden and Nola were standing near the front door next to a window. Holden wasn't lying. I could see him fumbling with the lock on one of the blinds. I heard a click. He did have the key. Holden let out a quick laugh. No, sorry. He's such a little shit.
Fuck Holden.
Fucking Holden. Nola stood next to him, hunched up, afraid but maybe a little curious. The whistling was right outside our house now. I think I made a sound, called out, I can't remember. Time felt frozen, but I found myself moving. I'm not fast. I've never been an athlete. Somehow, though, I covered the space between myself and Nola in a moment. My eyes were locked on her, but I heard Holden pull the blinds all the way down so it could release. I heard the snap of it start to raise and heard the whistling just on the other side of the window. But I had my arms around Nola and I turned us so she was facing away from the window. At the same time, I jammed my eyes shut. The blinds whipped open. The whistling stopped. I felt Nola shaking in my arms. Don't look, okay? Don't turn around. We were positioned so that she was facing back towards the hallway and I was facing the window. My eyes were still closed. I felt her nod into my shoulder. I reached out with the arm, not holding Nola, and tried to touch Holden. My hand brushed against his arm. He was shaking, worse than Nola. Holden? I asked. Silence. I reached past him and gingerly felt the window, eyes still sealed shut. The glass was cold against my fingertips, colder than it could have been this time of year. I moved my hand up to the window, searching for the string to the blind. The glass began to get warmer the further I reached, and there was a gentle hum feeding back into my fingertips. I tried not to think about what might be on the other side of the window. Finally, I touched the string and yanked the blinds shut. I opened my eyes in the dim light leaking out of the kitchen. I could make out Holden, pale and small, staring now at the closed window. "Holden?" I asked again. He turned towards me, and he screamed. Everything became a flurry of motion. Lights sparked to life in the hall, then the living room. My parents' footsteps thudded across the hardwood floor. I didn't turn to look back at them. My eyes were glued to Holden. He was pale. He had bit his lip so hard there was a thin red line of blood running down his chin, and he'd wet himself. "What happened?" my dad asked from behind me. I managed to swivel away from Holden and look back. He looked. I'd never seen my dad scared before, but I saw it that night, in that moment, an old, ugly terror stitched on his face, a parent's fear. "Just Holden?" he mouthed to me. I nodded yes. My dad let out a breath. He looked so relieved I nearly expected him to cheer.
You're fucked, not my kids.
Yeah. Oh my God. But then he turned to Holden and my dad's face changed. I wondered if he felt bad for the feeling good that Holden was the only one who had looked. There was a knock at the door. We all froze. Holden whimpered. "Don't answer it," my mom said. She stood at the threshold of the hall. I'd always thought she was a skeptic and just humored my dad about the windows and the whistler. But that night we were all believers. I noticed that both my parents held baseball bats they must have taken from their bedroom. The knock came again. "Please don't open the door," Holden whispered. My dad walked over to him, hugged him close. "We won't," my dad promised, still holding his bat. "Nothing is coming in here tonight." Thud, thud, thud. This time, the knocking was loud enough to rattle the door. Holden screamed again and Nola clutched her arms around my neck. My mom came over and knelt down next to us, wrapping my sister and me close. Thud, thud, thud. "Call the police," my mom whispered to my dad. The knocking instantly stopped. My dad looked over his shoulder at us. "Do you think—" He was cut off by frantic knocking that trailed off to a polite tap, tap, tap. "Police," something said on the other side of the door. The voice from outside sounded exactly like my mom, like a parrot repeating the words back to her. Police! Call the police! Tap, tap, tap. Police! My mom pulled us closer. Police, police, police! Please stop, I heard her whisper. I don't think calling them will help, my dad said. How will we know when they're the ones at the door? The knocking came back harder than before. The door shook, then it stopped. After a long moment, I heard the knocking again, but it was coming from our back door. We all turned together towards the back door, but the knocking immediately returned to the front door, front to back, front to back, front to back. Suddenly, the sound was coming from both doors, all at once. Stop! Holden yelled. The knocking died. I won't tell, Holden said, staring at the door. I promise I won't tell anyone what I saw. Just please go away. We waited for nearly a minute, then we heard it, a soft tap, tap, tap coming from the window Holden looked through earlier. Holden started to cry, sobbing like a prisoner. My dad held him, brushed his hair, but never lied to him, never told him that things would be okay. The tapping at the window went on for the rest of the night. We huddled together in the living room for I don't know how long. Eventually, my mom tried to take us into our room while my dad stayed to watch the door. But the second we moved into the bedroom, the knocking came back, so loud it was impossible to ignore. I was afraid the door couldn't take it. We went back to the living room and the knocking stopped. Only the tap, tap, tap on the window remained. None of us slept that night. The tapping stopped around 7 a.m. That's about the time when the sun comes up here. We waited another 2 hours before my dad opened the blinds from one window. He made us all go back into my parents' bedroom first. I heard him open the door, then come back in. Okay, he told us. It's done. Holden's parents came back around lunchtime. My mom and dad walked Holden over to his house, and they all went inside for quite a while. Nola and I watched from the window. She stuck to me the whole day right at my side, sometimes holding my hand. When my parents came back, they looked grim and wouldn't tell us what they said to Holden's family. It was a Sunday, so we all spent the day together, ordered pizza, and watched movies. That night, everyone slept in my room. Nola and my mom in bed with me, my dad in a chair he'd pulled over. There was no knocking that night or any night since. We didn't see much of Holden or his parents for the rest of the week, but by Thursday, there was a moving truck in their driveway. Nola and I watched them packing up the whole afternoon after school. What sticks with me most is how tired Holden and his parents looked. All three had the same grim mouths and lightless eyes. Even from across the street, I could tell something was very wrong. Holden and his family were gone before sunset. I remember what the original welcoming committee said to my parents when we moved in. Not everyone who looks at the Whistler dies, but even those that live have had the light go out of them, and the rest of their lives are full of misfortune. A million little tragedies. I think Holden's parents must have looked, either to comfort him if they didn't believe or share the burden if they did. I watch Nola some days, happy and young and alive, and I wonder if I'd been slower, if she'd looked out the window that night, would I have looked too, to comfort her, to share that burden? I'm glad I don't have to find out. We still live in that house, in that neighborhood. We still hear our Whistler walking past every night. The blessings, the luck, the good things here are too good to leave. But we're careful. We don't have friends over to spend the night anymore, and my dad hides the key to the blinds very, very well. Not that I've gone looking. Some things you just don't need to go looking for. Ooh. And that is the story of the creepy-ass Whistler.
Damn.
I like that. They should make like a series that just does short story like episodes like this, you know?
I know.
They do. On Netflix, it's a 2-sentence horror story. We watched the first episode today. And
really?
it's
Is it new?
Fucking creepy. I don't know how new, but it's new to me as of today. James and I watched the first episode. It's called 2-sentence horror stories on Netflix.
Okay.
Noted.
It's like each episode's about like 22 or so odd minutes long, and it takes like a 2-sentence horror story and like builds up to this one thing. And the one episode that I saw like left us both going like, what the fuck? And I wanted to watch the next one, but James was like, no. I'm like, fine.
James, it's spooky season.
Exactly.
Ooh, guess I'll have
Nice.
to check that
It
out.
out.
Would you, if your child looked, would you look?
I don't know. If I like my child, maybe. If my child's little shit. If my kid was like fucking Holden, I'd be like, dude, you deserve that. No,
I don't think it depends. Like, if I had other children that didn't look, I don't think I would look because you got to be there for them, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I think the most unrealistic thing in that whole story was how quickly they moved. Like,
I know.
It doesn't happen that
We out.
quickly.
Yeah, right.
Like, good fucking story. Was it
Yeah.
an alien? Was
Spooky
it a
spooks.
demon? Was it an actual person? Who fucking knows?
Who fucking knows what it is? He's a whistler, though. He whistles better than me, probably.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Since that's his forte. Oh, before we depart, Angela, do you have an oracle card for us?
Yeah. All right. So for those of you who don't listen to us on a regular basis, every episode I pull an oracle card, and every mini-sode I pull a tarot card. And since it's a main episode right now, we're getting an oracle card from my Moonology deck. And take it as you will. You might be going through something right now, or maybe you have a question that you might want to keep in mind as I'm shuffling at this moment. And hopefully this gives you some clarity or insight. So the card that I'm pulling today is, boom, expect powerful change.
Ooh.
So I'll give it to you guys and then do this. Wait, hold on. My camera's totally not focusing on it. It's like, I'd rather focus on your face, but it looks like a eclipse. Yeah, it says new moon eclipse. So this one, expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. It says, if you want affirmation that you can achieve your dreams and get the desired outcome in the situation you're asking about, then this is it. This is a card of beginnings, and there are powerful energies at work. But be prepared. It could be quite a ride, and events now could even be jarring and uncomfortable. However, any new directions you take will almost always lead somewhere better than where you are at the moment. Whatever is happening now is happening for a reason. You will appreciate later on. A new portal is opening up, and all you have to do is have the courage to forget about the past and move through it. You're being put back onto the right path. There's nothing to fear. Attuned to the Moon says, never mind the past. Life evolves every single day. Additional meanings for this card: yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. You're being shunted towards your life purpose. Whatever is happening now is happening for your highest good. This is an important turning point in your life. Ooh.
A successful recording of this
Yes.
episode. It's a turning point, ladies.
Well, I got stuck on the portal thing because whenever portal is mentioned, I think of your mom, Lexy, going,
Yeah.
don't open the portals, don't open the portals.
She keeps saying that to me too. When I do tarot card readings, she's like, I'm like, Mom, it's fine. It's just my higher self, okay?
Yeah, no portals here. Well, right on. If you liked our shit, you should definitely press that like button or follow, subscribe, leave a comment or review, get a sticker, all that good stuff. But friends, hopefully you listen to this one because hopefully it's the one that airs.
Okay, we really hope you hear this.
And
or else you'll never hear it.
Exactly. It'll just be another lost episode. We
Lost
have
in
a
the
few
void.
of those. Until next time, friends. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.